Our politics lead now. Michigan Congressman Peter Meijer, one of the 10 House Republicans who voted to impeach former President Donald Trump, is speaking out after his razor-thin primary loss. Meijer has this message for Democrats after the party's congressional campaign arm spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads to boost his election-denying opponent.
Any party that pretends to have a set of values and that comes in and boosts exactly the same type of candidate that they claim is a threat to democracy. Don't expect to have Republicans who will look at that and say, I know I'm going to get heat from my own side. I never expected the other side to as well double down in a cynical ploy to put forward the candidate they think is less electable.
All right, let's discuss with our panel. I want to bring in Karen first off, because you are a Democrat. I want to get your reaction to this finger pointing from Congressman Meijer. Does he have a point?
Look, turns out there's politics in politics. I mean, the job of the DCCC is to hold on to the majority that we have in Congress. And I think it's important that we remember that, while yes, he took a courageous vote in terms of the impeachment of Donald Trump, he is an anti-choice Republican. He voted against the January 6th committee forming. So he is someone who has voted with the Republicans on a number of issues and blocked a number of the things that Democrats are trying to get done.
Let me just ask you this, because it is not a sure bet that Gibbs will lose in the midterms. Gibbs is his opponent. Wouldn't Democrats rather work with a Meijer than a Gibbs?
Well, again, they've got to do, the role of the party committee is to do what they think will help them win in November. In this district, they think that we've got a shot with our Democratic candidate. So they've got to do what they think is best to give that candidate every opportunity. And look, people keep complaining Democrats aren't being tough. Well, they're playing tough. They're playing hardball.
Well, the sanctimonious nonsense of Democrats who say they are the party of pro-democracy to put their good money behind Republicans who are anti-election and are supportive of the riots at the Capitol, that's awful. And think about this. What if you were a Democrat, a good Democrat running for office, and money that should be going to you is going to a Republican? And here's the thing. They are being used as pawns in Donald Trump's grievance of the past election. And the Democrats need to...
Isn't it a failure of Republicans that this is the Republican primary electorate, that these issues have that much weight in the Republican primary? That's what your voters are voting for.
No,
what does that say about the party?
Meijer's not running on election fraud. He's not running on the insurrection. He's not running on not certifying the election results. He's running on what they can do to fix the economy. He's focused on jobs and issues that are important to the people of his district. And unfortunately, thanks to the Democrats, he's not the nominee.
Let me actually, to Karen's point here, I do, because this is a good jumping off point to talk about Arizona, where you have election deniers winning the primary in these four key positions in that state. You have Governor, Senate, Secretary of State, and Attorney General. Heidi, on that note, I mean, what is the significance of the election lies essentially winning in this case?
The significance is that it's actually not just happening in this state. It's happening surgically in a lot of the states that Donald Trump contested, wrongfully, by the way. There was no evidence of fraud or widespread fraud or ballot tampering in these states. But look at where it's happening in other states, like Michigan. The candidate there for Secretary of State, as well as AG. It's a trifecta where the former president is going in. He's making these endorsements at the state level to try and elevate people who buy into his election conspiracy theories. And so the threat here, Pamela, is not that all of these people are going to win, because in a lot of cases they'll probably lose. But because of the surgical nature of it, if even just one gets into office in one of these critical battleground states, that could be a recipe for some real chaos in upcoming elections.
And it's not only these kind of marquee races where that's happening. It's happening at the state house level. It's happening at the school board level. So this is building a bench of people who are just going to rise through the ranks and have this ideology. Now, could it change if Donald Trump is or former President Trump is not running the party, essentially? Perhaps, but this is what's being sown right now, both at these high levels and the base level.
20 election deniers running for Secretary of State.
But I think we have to remember that this is part of what we have been learning throughout the January 6th committee hearings. It's not just about Donald Trump. It is about the fact that that spurred a movement that is a clear and present danger to the United States of America today in these races.
Well, let's just hope that the voters are smarter than this and see past this. a lot of these people got where they were in these primaries. Carrie Lake, for example, by running on false claims of election fraud, by campaigning against what she calls the enemy of the state, the media, which she used to be a part of. If they don't shift their focus to what independent voters are concerned with, which is jobs and the economy and immigration and crime, they're not going to win. Let's just hope voters are smarter than that.
Well, I want to talk about what's winning for Democrats. I mean, Democrats have had some successes. You have Arizona Democratic Senator Kyrsten Sinema saying that she will vote for the party's sweeping economic and climate change package. Getting Sinema to say yes required stripping out a tax provision that would hit hedge fund and private equity managers and adding a 1% excise tax on companies' stock buybacks, which is intended to make up the lost revenue from removing the tax provision. I'm going to test all of you all on that in just a second. It also changes how depreciated assets are deducted and adds billions in drought relief funding. This is a big deal. I mean, you know, look, President Biden did say he still believed in our form of government, in the United States form of government. Is this Washington working?
Well, it's working for him. I mean, by all accounts, this is a huge record of success. And my opinion is that it depends on whether Democrats are going to let him take the win. And I hope that you agree with me on this, Karen. But in the Republican Party, there tends to be a rallying effect around the leader, right? Around President Trump in this case, in the past. But Democrats tend to self-immolate a bit. Like the progressives will say, this was supposed to be Build Back Better. This was supposed to be paid maternity leave or college education reimbursement for student loans. And we didn't get those things, so we're disappointed. So are Democrats going to take this, though, and say, this is a historic bill on climate change. This is going to help us with prescription drug costs. Will they? That is the big question.
And it is, because, look, you have these legislative achievements, or soon-to-be achievements. You know, I'm just looking at what President Biden can tout right now, right? You have the killing of the Al Qaeda leader. You know, you have all of these different things that are in his bucket. Lower gas prices as well. Good jobs report out today.
I'll give him chips. We'll
give him chips. Throw that in there. Throw in the PACT bill.
Yes,
Throw all that in. And the question is, can Democrats turn these into tangible gains for Democrats? Because we've seen historically, I believe in the 1960s, where they had the legislation of Medicare and Medicaid passed, and then Democrats actually lost seats in the following election.
Well, hopefully, yes, and I agree with Heidi. Take the win and go campaign and try to take the win in November. And I do think that Kansas showed us how potent the issue of abortion is. And remember, in the fall, many states will be passing bans. So it will remind voters what's at stake in this election.
All right. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate it.